Hello everyone, welcome back, and this time we're going to do just a simple lever and door system. So a lever that you can throw and it'll open a door, and then if you throw it again it closes a door. So I'm going to put this in my puzzle door folder, and I'm going to create a new folder first for the actual puzzle door components, and then I'm going to drop all this just right in there. So I'm going to create a blueprint class of an actor. This will be the lever underscore BP, and it'll be what we interact with in order to open the door. So I'm going to double click and open it up. I'm going to add a static mesh. This will be the lever arm, and I'm going to add one more static mesh. That will be the lever base. So the lever arm is actually what will swing back and forth, and then the base will just be a cylinder that we turn on its side. So I'm going to add a cylinder for the base, rotate it on its side, and then whoa, no, wrong way, shrink it down. So I'm just going to drag one into the world real quick just to kind of get an idea of its size. So that's looking, I'm going to turn off this nav mesh real quick so we can see a little easier. That looks fine. So I'm going to give it a material of rust. No, I don't have. Oh, rust. Okay. This is one of the starter content materials. Let's give it a rusty kind of material. Actually, I'm going to duplicate this, and this is going to be the lever track. And I'm going to shrink the track in. Oh, too much. Shrink the track in a little bit. And then grabbing like that, and then it kind of has like a little raised section. Instead of just moving through the metal, we can make this be a different kind of metal. Ooh, you know what would be nice? Probably that tech. Yeah, that'll look nice. And then we'll put this lever arm as a child of it. Then we'll rotate this track, and it'll rotate both of them at the same time. That'll look pretty cool. Alright, but now we need an actual lever arm. So, yeah, it doesn't look bad. So, in our geometry panel, we can grab a cylinder, and we're going to turn this into a static mesh for a lever arm, but we need to adjust it first. So I'm going to set its outer radius down to about 5. That looks pretty good. Let's move it over onto that lever thing, track, whatever we called it. And maybe 3. That way it sits right in it and doesn't clip out the sides. That looks pretty good. It's really tall though, so we don't need it that tall. Let's say half height. That looks pretty good, I think. You can make it smaller or bigger as you like. So under, let's see, where's the select? Oh, there it is. If you can't find this menu, it's right here. The geometry select, just escape to unselect it and then reselect it, and it'll be right there. So I want to select all adjacent surfaces. That'll select all the adjacent surfaces. And then I'm just going to give it a metal material. We'll say steel. Looks good enough. Good enough for what we're doing. I might make it just a little bit shorter after all. 75. Looks good enough. So one thing we do need to do to it is actually adjust its pivot. So I'm going to float it up into the air, and I'm going to right click underneath right about the middle. It doesn't have to be exact, but you want it as close to the middle as you can. Come on, stop being squirrely. Want it to be as close to the middle as you can, and we'll just right click right here. And if you go down here to pivot, you can set pivot offset here. That's not the middle at all, but so now the pivot is here, but if I escape and then select it again, it's back up there. What we want to do is that. So right click about the middle, set pivot offset here, right click again, set as pivot offset. So now if I unselect and select it again, yeah, it stays. So now when we rotate it, it'll actually rotate along that pivot like we would want if it was a lever. Because if we didn't change it and then we rotated it, it would just kind of, it would rotate from here, so this side would go that way, that side would go that way, and it would look weird. So now we've got our lever bar, lever arm, whatever you want to call it. I'm going to create it as a static mesh, put it in our door. Let's see, interaction system, puzzle door, yeah, puzzle door right here. And this will be my lever arm underscore SM. And then it's right there, huzzah. So now over in here we can add our lever arm. And then position it as we want. About there looks good. Yeah. Bueno. Oh, we can get rid of that other one now. Alright, so we want to set it to a default position. So we'll have it just kind of leaned off to one side like that. That's good. Now for the lever itself, right here we need to add our interact tag. So I'll search for tag and add interact. And then under the class settings, we'll add our interact interface, just like that. So I'm going to get rid of all this in its event graph. On event interact, we are going to tell it to affect another component. So let's add a variable called door ref, and this one is just going to be an actor reference. So we'll just get actor object reference, just like that. And then we can set it. Well, let's click this little eye. That'll make it to where we can establish. So when we interact with it, we want to rotate it, and then once it's done rotating, tell it to open the door over here. So from the event interact, we will first we want to see if it's already moving. So we'll add a branch. We'll promote the condition to a variable called can interact. And if true, then we will set this to false. Then we will add a timeline so that we can shift lever. We'll hook this to the play from start. Oh, actually, no. Delete. I don't know why I deleted it. We need that, but we don't want to connect it just yet. First, we need another branch to figure out if it's in the closed position. So we'll add another branch, and we'll promote this to a variable called closed. And if it's true, then we'll play from start. And if it's false, then we'll reverse from end, because we want our lever to be able to go back and forth. So we're going to open this up and set the length to about, would 0.5 be too fast? we'll find out. Let's add a float track. Call it alpha. Then we'll right click to add our keys, time 0 value 0 and time 0.5 value 1. So box select both of them and zoom to fit, right click, and we will auto interpolate so it has that nice smooth in and out. So what we want to update is our lever track's rotation. Since our arm is attached to it, updating this will automatically update that. So its current rotation is -50 on the Y. So we'll set relative rotation. We'll update this, and we want to lerp between what it's at and what it will be. So its current position is that. Let's, instead of hard coding that, we'll just do we'll promote this to a variable called closed rotation or closed rot. And then on B we'll do open rot. Actually, we can let's delete the open rot and we'll set the closed rot to the current rotation. Copy, and then we can compile, and then we can paste that in here. And then when we duplicate, there it goes. When we duplicate this, all we gotta do is rename it, compile, and then we can just adjust it. We won't have to do that. So in the open position, be about +50. Well, that works. So we'll just 50, just like that. So we'll plug in that open rotation, plug in our alpha, and then after it's finished, we'll set a small delay. 0.2 would probably work, and then set the can interact back to true and set the closed to false. So closed should be defaulted to true and can interact should be defaulted to true. So let's try this out real quick. Okay, we got a little bit of an issue. Oh, right, because it's... So we need to set this. We'll do a select on this. So we want to set it. When we first interact with it, it will be true. So after it does all this, if we plug in our closed boolean right here, we can tell it that if this is true, we want to set it to false, and if this is false, we want to set it to true, so that it'll flip-flop back and forth between those. There we go. Just wanted to make sure. Alright, so let's right click and create another blueprint class. This will be just another door underscore BP. You could probably use this one if you wanted to, but it only has an open function. It doesn't have a close function. You can add a close function pretty easily, but we'll just do it this way. So I will add a static mesh, call it my door, and it's just going to be a cube, just like the other one. I'm going to move it up. What is the scale on this one? 0.25, 3, and 3. 0.25, 3, and 3. Ooh. Is that floating? Nope, it's not up enough. So, highlighting something like this in the world, you can go to the different components of it and then check its relative stuff. So if you highlight the actual component and come to here, it'll have all of its world location and rotation stuff. but right here it has its relative location and scale and stuff like that. Handy little thing when you're doing stuff like this. So it's 150 relative, 150 relative. Alright, cool, good deal. So in the class settings, I'll add the interact blueprint interface, and then we'll add our tag interact. Get rid of all that, and then on event interact, let's add a boolean called closed. We want to make sure that's defaulted to true. Since our lever is defaulted to true, this needs to be defaulted to true. So we'll add a branch, get our closed, and we are going to add another timeline called opening door. So if it is closed, then we're going to play from start, because our start is going to be when it's opening, and for false we will reverse from end, just like the other way. And I'm going to set this to a length of 1 second. Nah, better match the lever. So we'll add a track called alpha. We'll add our keys, time 0 value 0, time 0.5 value 1. Box select, zoom to fit, right click, auto interpolate. So now what we want to do is, just like the other one, we can set actor location. We'll update this based on a lerp. Oh, let's add a begin play event so that we can get actor locate. Alright, that doesn't have enough executable. Let's get actor location and promote that to a variable called start point, or closed point, or whatever you want to call it. Start point will work. So I'm going to hook my start point to the A, and start point minus how much does that other door need to open? Because it's the same size, minus 310. Oh, I guess it would have. Oh no, since we're doing it on the thing, it's getting its location. Okay, so we'll do minus 310 here. Hook our alpha up. And then on the finished, we will set our boolean to a select node, and we can just plug in this closed right here, and we can do the same thing. So if it's true, we want it to be false, and if it's false, we want it to be true. That way it'll determine whether it wants to open or close. So we got one lever in the world. Let's set a door out here like that. So I need to highlight this lever and then pick my actor. I'm going to pick that door. Since we did it as just an actor reference, you can actually kind of pick anything you want, but it also doesn't create a hard reference. It just creates a soft reference to actors. So, but now one more thing we need to do is in our actual lever, on finished, we want to get that actor reference and then call our interact message. So after it finishes its opening animation, it will call the door reference and do its interact. I'm actually going to update this delay to 0.5 so that it finishes the door's moving animation and then goes back to being able to interact. So let's try it out real quick. 0.5 is a little bit quick. Let's do opening door. I'm going to say 1 full second. And then I'll readjust this key time. And then in the not the puzzle door, in the lever, I'll set it to 1 second before it can be interactable again. Yeah. Doesn't look bad. You can also add a little click, like click, click. It's terrible sound effects, but yeah. So you can do that in order to give it that little nice sound effect. But yeah, so a simple one this time, and I will see y'all. I'm going to be recording some of the co-op series tonight, but we're going to be going back and forth. I'm going to be doing a bunch of those when I can, and then a bunch of these, so this one will continue. I have a feeling this one's going to continue. We'll probably just add on to it as we collectively think of things that we'd like to see, because, you know, why not? It's a fun series. I like it. I'm digging it. If y'all are too, then why end it? So, alright, I'll see y'all in the next one. Bye.